cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me.
So here's the Quadrajet that we're going to be tearing down and going through it and cleaning it really good. We're going to tear it down, tear it apart, and clean it from the start. So, first thing you're going to want to know, get some music going. Alright, first thing you're going to want to know is, I'll give you a little demonstration of the outside. This is the front. Fuel goes in here, as you know. Throttle linkage is on this side. Accelerator pump arm right here. This is a mechanical choke. I believe the electric choke started in like 1981 and up. So this is actually a mechanical choke. This is the diaphragm to the choke. Choke rod. The Quadrajets are basically a three-part carburetor. You got your bottom, which is the base plate. These are where your adjusting screws will be. These are capped off from the factory. This has never been broken. Most of these have been cut and then chipped out so you can actually get to them, which is what I'm going to be doing to this one. So I got to basically take a hacksaw or something and I'll slice a cut in that on both sides, and then we'll chip it out with a chisel or something to expose the adjusting screws for the mixture. This is the base plate. Then you have your middle main body. Then you have the top right here, which is the air horn. So what you'll want to do is, once you've got it off of the car, you'll have 9 screws. You'll have one here, 2 inside, and then you'll have 2 over here, 2 in the back, the very back. You'll have 2 there. You'll have 2 here. So basically 9 screws, and then you can lift off that. Once you take off the accelerator arm, there's a little pin in there. We'll be using a little drill bit to puncture and beat that out. You don't take it all the way out, you just beat it back enough until this arm is free. Then you can take it off the linkage, set it aside. We'll be taking off of this linkage with a little flat blade screwdriver there. And a lot of people will take off this whole section, the choke and everything, the diaphragm. We may take off the diaphragm because I gotta kind of check this one and see if it's working. This is the original. I may have to get another one of these, I don't know. Seems like it's kind of working, but I want to kind of probably go through it. That's a little vacuum to the diaphragm, which will help this. Usually this is cold or closed when it's cold, but the diaphragm will kind of open it up a little bit to give it a little more fuel and air in the beginning, like on a cold start. Then once it warms up, of course, it'll open up all the way. But a lot of people will take off the complete choke assembly. I've already done that in the past. On the bottom, there'll be 3 screws, all Phillips. There's only 3 in this one. And then these are the plugs. You can't probably really see it real good right now because everything's together, but these are the plugs that'll leak on a lot of cars. There's two here and then one over here. So what I'm going to do is probably clean all these off, and then I'll JB weld them to make sure that it will never leak. And I guess that's about it as far as giving you a little demo on what you're working with. So we're going to go ahead and start by taking off this accelerator pump arm here and lever, and then we'll start taking off this back plate and choke rod and whatnot. So let's get started, shall we? It's very vital for y'all to take pictures, take notes, whatever you got to do to make sure where everything goes. You may even want to videotape yourself, and then that way you can kind of follow it along when you go to put it back together. Because a lot of times people will tear these apart, then they'll go order the kit, and it may be a couple of days, a week before you get back to it and start putting it back together. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hammer, little drill bit. We're just going to tap this back some. Little rod that's in there. You don't want to take it all the way out. You just want to tap it back far enough. And you'll see the rod right there, the little pin. Tap it out until this is loose, like that. There's two holes here. Mine happen to go on this one. You gotta kind of remember which hose yours goes on, and that way you won't have any problems with fitment and everything when you go to put it back. Then you just slide this off and remember which hole that goes on. There's two holes here, two holes there. Both mine are on the inside. So I'm going to take that off, set that aside. Now that portion's done. Now we can come over here, and I'm going to unscrew this little bracket that holds this lever on, choke lever. A lot of times what I will do, I'll put the screw back into the place it came from. You can always set it aside and everything. Sometimes I will, sometimes I'll just put it back into the hole that I got it from. That way it's never going to get lost or mixed up with other screws. Just stick it back in, a few threads. And just take a view of which angles and everything you get everything from and which hole. Now that's off. I'm going to clean that later. Now this thing is probably the hardest part of the whole rebuild, will be this little arm here. So basically I like to leave it there, because you can take it off from inside once you get this top horn off and everything. But sometimes it's a pain to fit it back down there and get it connected right and work the air horn back on it and everything. Sometimes it can be a hassle. You can't see it right now because I don't have a light shining down there, but that's what controls this little arm down in here. So when this connects, it hits it, opens this up. So now we got that loose. Now we're going to start taking off the 9 screws. Oh, this one's actually loose. I usually get a magnet. I don't happen to have mine on me right now. So I'm going to have to go get my magnet probably here, unless I got this magnetized. Yeah, I got this one, screwdriver magnetized. two little flat blade screws here. They go on the inside, right here and right here, the inside of this. If you don't have nothing magnetized, you can use needle nose or something to get down in there and pull it out. And if the screw happens to fall down inside a car, no big deal, we're taking it apart anyway, we'll find it. But we got those out now. Okay, so the two screws here we've got out now from inside. Now we're going to take off the two from the back side. And you're going to want to lay them out kind of in the order you got them is best. Unless you've got a great memory, then you can just sew them all together and kind of remember where they go. And these two will also be with the little bracket. These two come with this little bracket front. This is the rear. So lay those out the way you got them. Then you'll have two more here and two on the outskirts. These two I believe will be longer. And they do have little washers, so you don't want to lose the little washers. They got little lock washers that come with them. These two long ones, the very back far rear. And then we'll take off these two on the outskirts. And all these will have washers with them, little lock washers, so keep a hold of them. Short screws, outskirt. Now, we got one more, which will be in the front. Back to the front of the carb, we got one here. That's 9 altogether. Again, it's got a lock washer on it. Be another short screw. So now we got our screws laid out the way we took them off, so we'll never get them confused. Now we're going to be taking, the air horn is pretty much ready now. We're going to take this arm off here on the side. We got one more thing here to take off, and then this arm we can take off. We could take these two screws off here and take the diaphragm off, which is what I'm gonna do. No washers on these. And they will be connected from this vacuum here. So we need to take this vacuum hose off. The other screw fell, so here's our 2 screws for the diaphragm. I'm going to put those to the side. These are the only pliers I got on me right now at the moment. I'm just going to use that to twist it a little bit, kind of break it free. And pretty much go ahead and just pop that off. And there's our diaphragm off. And you'll see all the linkage behind it. You want to kind of make a note of what goes where. If you take all this off, you're going to want to reset everything back like it was. For me, I'm just going to take this and use this to take this lever off. That goes right in there. So now the diaphragm's off. We're going to probably clean it. We may end up buying a new one. I'm not sure yet. And we are ready for the top horn now to come off. After we do one more thing. So we've got a little flathead here that will pull this up. I can't remember the name of this. Plus we got to take off our little air cleaner stud. Take off this little screw. Don't lose this little screw. Itty bitty flathead. And then that will allow us to pull this straight up, revealing our rods. Put that to the side. We can clean them up a little later. Now we're ready for the top horn to be disassembled. Sometimes you'll have to take a little hammer. You can just tap on it here and here, you know, tap on it a little bit. If yours is stuck from being on there for 85 years. Mine, I'd already been through here before. Now, here you're going to want to kind of keep the gasket down, because we're going to want to reuse this gasket. It is practically new, and you got to feed it through this accelerator rod, and at the same time feed it through this choke arm that's on the other side. And there'll be 4 rods that are sticking down. I'll show you here in just a second. These 4 metering rods, which we'll have to clean again. You want to make sure that they're in there pretty good and tight. Sometimes they'll fall down and stay in the hole. That's the bottom of the top horn. So we're going to be cleaning this up again. We're going to be cleaning all the passages up, passageways and everything. And now this is the heart of it. This gasket's still in pretty good shape, but you need to kind of work your accelerator without tearing the gasket. Kind of work it around. You got little tabs here you can work off of. Undo them from the gasket. Gives you a little play. Then here you got to feed it around this power piston, which sure does look like it went sideways on me a little bit, but and you want to try to be careful here and work it around this choke rod. Gives you a little more room, and then you got to work it around this power piston. It's got a split in the gasket already, so you kind of want to work that around the power piston without ripping it. Now I'm going to try to go ahead and take this accelerator rod off of here. If I can do this without ripping this gasket. And take this out. And this is your accelerator rod. It's got a spring on the bottom here. And this portion, which I'm going to have to clean all this pretty good. Whoops. Now we can, you'll see it a little better here, where it's got a little cut already in the gasket, to where you can feed it around this power piston that goes up and down, and try to feed it in a way to where it won't rip the gasket. Unless you got a brand new gasket, then you don't have to worry about it. Just rip it off of there any way you can. But I'm going to be trying to reuse this one because it's still good. Just take your time. Go slow with it. And you'll get it like that. Now it comes cut from the factory like this. So you can feed it. It's got like a tab that's right there. You can feed it under and then around. So you can see where some of my flooding issues were happening right here. We do have a little bit of gas in it in this bowl area, but this is your power piston. So you're going to want to check it, make sure it's up and down with ease. There's a spring underneath it. Your choke here. And then this is your little power piston choke cover. So we'll take our little plastic out here. It's just a little, I call it a top hat. Got very little gas in it, but we're going to put that over here so it don't spill. Now we're going to take this power piston out. Should just pull right out. Kind of latches down here. There's like a little gasket type thing there holding it in. You can just pull it straight out like that. And these definitely need cleaning. Got varnish all over it. So this is your power piston. We're going to be cleaning that real good. We'll put that to the side. And there's a little spring down there. It looks like, and this is a problem where I had when I first took this carburetor apart and I had it all spread out nice and everything perfect where I needed it. One of my grandkids came and decided he saw a spring and it looked cool to him, this spring right here, and he took off with it and started playing with it and ended up losing the original. I bought another kit that had some, but something's telling me this one's still a little too small. Pretty sure. So I may be having a little issue there with one of my flooding problems as well, where it's not working quite right. So I'm gonna have to do some more investigation about this spring, because it looks like it's fitting down there a little short. I think it should be coming up to about this ridge here, and I'm well underneath it. But anyway, then we can take this cap off Just a little cover, not really a cap. Choke cover, basically. Then that will reveal our pump, or I mean our float. I don't know why I'm saying choke cover. It's a float cover. So there's our float. We're gonna have to measure that again and make sure it's set proper. And another thing you want to make sure, you can put this back on. You want to make sure that this rod right here, which is holding your choke in, is above this cover, which it is. So that's good. Sometimes these bend out of shape and you have to pry it out a little bit. So we'll take our choke, our float, I don't know why I keep saying choke. We'll take our float out now. There's our float. And it has a little, this is your seat, or your needle I mean, and a little spring that's attached to it. You want to make sure that little needle, it's got a little attachment there. You just hook it like that. You don't want to put it into the two holes that you see there. You want to put it behind it on that little half circle shape, and it sits there. So don't lose your needle, don't lose that little attachment that goes with it. Look how dirty this carburetor is. This is what bad gas from sitting in a gas tank for 16 years will do. And I took 90% of that gas out. I siphoned out all I could. But there's your jets down there. We're going to be taking them off, cleaning them real good. We're going to be cleaning all these passages out. You can use some wire, thin gauge wire, poke through there, try to make sure it's all clean, nothing blocking the passageways. Then take air, take your little carb spray, brake cleaner, shoot it down in there really good. We're going to be scrubbing everything out in here. This is that was your needle. This is your seat. Down in here, let me see if I can get a flashlight and show y'all a little better. Down in there you'll see this little screw. Let's see if I can prop this up, give you all some more. Right down in here on this side is your check ball. A little flat blade screw there. Right in here, we'll take that out. This here. So your check ball is right over there where that little silver screw is. The gold one is actually holding that's your seat. We'll be taking that off and then we'll clean this up. Look at all that junk in there. And this, I believe, is a 750 CFM. I should have brought a better light in here. And we're gonna have to get a bigger screwdriver for that one, but we can go ahead and take off the check ball. So that's a little screw that holds down the check ball. Don't lose it. It's a special one. And our little check ball is down in there. I don't know if y'all will be able to see it, but pull the carburetor over, it should come right out. There it is. Should be a new one in a kit. This happens to be my new one that came from the kit, so I definitely don't want to lose that. And that pretty much does it. I got to get a bigger screwdriver to take this one off right here in the front. Basically your seat. And then there will be a gasket underneath it that you definitely want to pull out if you're putting in a new one. And then we can start tearing off the bottom plate. So let me go get a bigger screwdriver, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Grabbed my biggest screwdriver, but it wasn't big enough. You gotta have a wide tip because it's pretty wide. So I grabbed one of these that I had. And just unscrew it. And that's what it looks like. And there will be a gasket, should be a gasket down inside of there, which there is. There's a new one there. So we're gonna have to clean all this out real good. I can see some junk that's gotten down in there. And this is the greenest carburetor I've ever seen, probably. That gas really did a job on it. Now this thing here, I forgot what it's called, but this little thing here, you don't want to mess with that. So that's that. Now we can tear down the bottom half. Now we can flip this over. That's pretty much everything from the inside you're going to be taking off. We'll flip this over. We'll take these 3 screws off, all Phillips. And they should be on there pretty good. You want these pretty snug. And that will remove the bottom plate from the middle body. We'll be all separated in, so we can clean every inch of this, hopefully for the final time. It looks harder than it is, but it's not really. Like I said, I don't really do much of this carburetor rebuilding. I've done 3 or 4 my entire life. So I don't feel though as I'm an expert by any means. Don't forget the washers. You'll see they're the same sizes. So you can throw them on your bench without worrying about which one goes where. That should be able to separate the bottom now from the mid body. could be a little stuck. Might have to do a little prying, a little tapping. You don't ever want to take a hammer and hit it hard. Just tap on it lightly. Should be free. A few beats. Don't beat on it like you do your sister. This one's on pretty good. Maybe take my little screwdriver and pry it a little here. A little here. Got a little bit there. There we go. Really stuck to that gasket pretty good on this corner. So now this is the bottom. We can get it real good and clean and check all the passageways. This is your other gasket. Now here's the plugs I was talking about. You'll have one here and then these two plugs here. Looks like somebody's already put a little JB weld over it. I'm going to be cleaning these off. Probably chip all that old JB weld off, put brand new. And then we're going to probably have to get it. We'll definitely have to get another gasket. This gasket actually stuck pretty good to this one. So we're going to be ripping this gasket off. Go out and buy a new one. Sometimes they get stuck around that flange area too. Yeah, it's stuck on there pretty good. So we're going to be cleaning the base plate off really well to make sure we won't have any leaks on the next one or anything. But that's pretty much it, boys. Now it's down to just clean, clean, clean. We'll spray it down. A lot of people will soak it in a carburetor cleaner overnight, which is what we should do. And we might. If not, I'll definitely be cleaning it with some fluids, brake fluid, carburetor cleaner, scrubbing it. Yeah, this gasket is all stuck on there like chuck. Alright, so we're just gonna rip this off. Be getting a new one of those. And then we'll be make sure if this happens to you and your gasket's been on there for a long time, you're gonna want to clean all this off. You don't want to scratch it, but you want to clean it really good so that whole gasket area will be nice and clean all back down the middle. And then we'll clean these plugs with the old silicone, old JB Weld stuff on there, because you see how that just chips off real easy. These are what made the Quadrajets gave it a bad reputation, because the early models, all these would leak. Basically like 65, 66 through 68, these leaked really bad. Gave it a bad reputation. These could leak. You know, this is a 79 model, but they weren't nothing as bad as the old ones. But we're gonna go ahead and JB weld these up really good, clean everything. We'll JB weld these up too probably, and then just clean everything, passages, every little crack and nook you can find on these. And that's what we're down to. So I just wanted to show you this video to help those out that have never really done one or had been afraid of the Quadrajet, and they look at it and it looks complicated. It's really busy as hell, but you can do it. You can do it. This is that little arm. I like to leave it in there. I don't take it out. You could unhook it from inside here, but then it's more of a pain to me. I can live with it flopping around and clean around it, so I'm good with that. I've done it before. Took these off, these screws. You can take this cover off. You'll see a metal spring in there, you know. It's just like a little wound up spring. It gets hot and it expands, and that's what helps close the choke, opens the choke. You can clean all that out. I've done that before. But since I've already done this, I'm just going to leave the choke on there. I don't really have to worry about that. I will be cleaning it from the outside, you know. But yeah, I see junk down in here, a little bit of debris, trash from the rust particles from the old gas tank. And then the gas itself is just super bad. I mean, I got, like, look at this. This is what's going on in my carburetor, and that's why I had this flooding issue. That's what's been giving me all these problems. So we're going to solve that once and for all. Now that we got a brand new gas tank, brand new fuel filters, I'll be replacing this fuel filter in here inside as well. And new fuel pump. We should be good. So hang in there. I'm gonna organize all this and get to cleaning, which I'm not gonna show you that on video. That's pretty much just common sense. Spray it down, clean it off with a toothbrush. I will give you a warning, you know, don't use a screwdriver to like sit here and pry and try to scrape everything off, because it's got a coating inside here. You don't want to scrape it. Use a soft bristle brush. Use your sister's toothbrush, which is what I'm going to do, and clean it that way. Let it soak, and some Berryman's or something. So we'll end it there, folks. Hope I helped somebody out there, and I'm gonna get busy with cleaning and organizing these parts before they get lost, and we'll come back once we got it all together. So y'all have a beautiful day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me.